Welcome back to the podcast Verbonden. Today we will listen to the second part of the interview Edzo Botjes did with Elise. Why do IT departments and business strategies often drift apart? In the conclusion of this special reverse episode, Elise Luyckx argues that the organizations are networks of people, dots on a map that must move together. Elise explains her shift towards enterprise design and why she now focuses on facilitation to bridge the gap between C-level strategy and technical execution. Let's find out in the last part of this conversation.
Do you want to sharpen your skills as an enterprise architect? Welcome to Verbonden, the podcast where we combine insights from experienced professionals with real-world examples from the world of architecture. My name is Elise Luyckx and I am your guide through the layers of enterprise architecture, making it less mythical and more concrete.
What do you see as a potential way forward to reduce the friction and create a bit of better flow on that?
At this moment, I really love to facilitate workshops.
Mm-hmm.
I felt a new drive on this because what I just said, I give the structure, I bring clarity, I pose some reflective questions, but in the end, the decision and the content creation or the part, that's always the client who decides. And giving workshops really gave me the opportunity to be in this role very clearly. And I felt that it really gave me this insight, like we don't make the decisions, we don't say what an organization has to do, especially as a consultant, you're an outsider. So you cannot know if specific actions or solutions that you propose, it will be accepted by the company's culture or by the current IT landscape. You really need the people in the organization, knowing the organization very well, and to bring the experts together to make the decision. It's a kind of humbleness, the inquiry kind of approach. It's hugely powerful in my specific situation. If you're currently internal in a company for a longer time, I think it's also very important because you can bring structural change. And in that position, you know the culture, you know the IT landscape. This is a position where you can really be more, not only structure, but also be more be more part of the decisions and the content.
Yeah, that sounds nice. And can you tell a little bit more about the workshops you like to give? As in, what was the trigger for it in an ideal situation? If people had to dream about what the workshop is, what can you tell them to dream about? Because I think there are a lot of enterprise architecture, enterprise designers out there that are willing to do a workshop but don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
Can you provide a bit of inspiration for them how you envision a workshop you do at a client without telling any client, of course?
Yeah. The hardest part very often is selling the workshop, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So it's especially for a lot of people, it would be, well, I say selling, but it's engaging people, coming up with the idea, the reason. It's not a generic solution. You really need to find what are the real drivers for a specific change or a specific workshop. Before even starting a design, I really need to know who can be there. I ask the organization to select which people are going to be there, depending on the goal. I also ask, well, if it's I see that there's only IT people in the room, but you want actually an IT strategy. Who has the business strategy in mind.
Yeah.
Can this person also join? So really doing those checks, it's all about the preparation. It's like I do scuba diving in my spare time.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking of a technique.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's intense. Scuba diving.
It's a switch, but you cannot, you will drown if you don't have the right preparation. And for workshop, I really love designing workshops and being creative about it and engaging people during the workshop and structuring. This is something for me, I had it with Lego Serious Play.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually the first certification that I had, which was the first time that I had the concept of workshops. But this was already a very interesting part because it comes from systemic work. It comes from serious play, which is actually bringing people into the room, working with their hands.
Yeah.
And as children, we play and we learn through play. And we actually, this is the concept where it's a safe environment to experiment. And I see that, especially with startup companies, if you have a C-level who plays and experiments with the company and has fun doing that, and if they make a mistake, they learn, they get back up, they go, they continue. That is actually a very healthy thing very often.
Yeah.
If people are in that kind of mindset, they are in a flow mindset. And if the teams are doing that as well, it's a very big part, I think, of happy work culture. And then you have the healthy organization part where you really need a structure to do that safely, to play safely, because yeah. And I see both aspects also going on in a workshop. I bring the facilitation, I bring the spark, but it's the people, they continue the fire.
Yeah.
So actually in designing workshops, which was your question, it's the preparation again. It's the most important thing for a successful workshop.
So then I imagine the organization has a question. You are going to ask a few why questions to them, and the hows and the whats, and go up and down. And based on that, you select the people. And then during the workshop, you engage on the question itself and go into different ways to address the question.
Yeah. And there's also the concept of guidelines, or the every workshop starts with an opening. And we want this kind of mindset from you today during the workshop, and some kind of a manifest for the group to hold by. One of them could be like no complaining, only solution thinking, or maybe no solution thinking, only ideation today. So you really scope the workshop well, but also communicate it at the beginning and upfront. People who come into the workshop and say, "What am I doing here?" That's not a good sign. But it's a good sign if they have known the things that you really want to come out of the workshop, that they know it up front. Yeah. And also be honest about it, because one of the things that I would have a problem about is we have this main goal, but you cannot tell it to the group. Then you would have a very confusing workshop. So I would always choose openness over, over everything else. If I do workshops at this moment, and this can be a bit tricky, because if you are recreating your IT strategy, we also ask what capabilities do we need. But listing the capabilities of the workforce also is hard for current managers, because in their head they're already they are already thinking, oh, I need to lay off Jeff and Sarah, but I don't have anyone for this skill. How am I going to do that? So in a workshop, if you do this kind of work, you really need to create a safe environment and tell them do not think about the number of chairs that are going to be there and who's going to sit on them. We are going to design first what is good for the organization and for the people who will sit on any chair later on. It needs to be a healthy structure, a healthy organization, and then later on we can do different exercises with how do we fill in this. That's one example of trying to remove the sting from a sticky situation by really boxing the workshop for a certain purpose. So yeah, it's the intro part. And I also like to include, this is what we want from you. This is what we are going to do. And we are going with the outputs of this workshop. These are the things we're going to do with it. It needs to be very clear, and then ask them, what is your expectation from this workshop? And then do quick rounds. I tend to write down some post-its. At the end of the workshop, I have 10 minutes, 15 minutes to really take the same post-its again and say, like, okay, these were your goals.
Mm-hmm.
What did we reach, or what could we do better? So it's a way of bringing in some things that are laid up on the group. They are dictated a bit, and then asking their input as well. What do you add to this?
Yeah.
And the serious play works with a specific structure. It is giving the people a very boxed assignment or a problem and ask them to come up with a solution or an idea. And then also make sure that everybody is involved. Not only one person picks a solution, this is it. Listen to the quiet people as well. Bring everything together. And a good facilitator needs to be able to bring that all together from very good listening skills in that. So this is the serious play loop. You can do it a few times in a workshop. I really try to write down the important key questions or problems. And this is something that I verify with the sponsor of the workshop, who's paying for it and why.
And reflecting on this, do you think this is for you a personal development where you're focusing more on the workshops and the communication, or you think that's more also a trend in the whole industry to that?
I believe in my position as an enterprise architect, as consultant, also this combination really requires me to have these skills. I feel like the biggest change I can make is doing this. And the conversations that I'm having as well in the podcast, they are steering towards the direction. You need to have your craftsmanship there.
Mm-hmm.
But with craftsmanship alone, if you have a blueprint, no one is executing it, then you won't feel very fulfilled. And this is a frustration I recognize in a lot of people.
Yeah.
So to some level, bringing the storytelling and the communication and convincing and taking up some leadership as well to do some jobs that you might not like to do, to involve other one's opinions and be really open to those. That's something that I believe is a key thing as a
Yeah, I recognize this a lot. In my bubble, I have a lot of really experienced enterprise architects, and a big part of them are pivoting to more change management and purely focus on communication. because you can have really technical insights, but if you cannot align it with what people need or what other people around you understand, then it has no value. You need to have the same language, or use the same language to a certain degree. That's really interesting to. For me, that gives us that enterprise architecture slowly becoming more mature. If we're slowly drifting away from technical blueprints to more what does make people tick and how can we win the game together. I think that's a good indication we're on the right track.
Yeah.
And looking forward, so what do you, if you can close your eyes and dream of enterprise architecture, enterprise design, or whatever the name will be in 2 years, where will it be in 5 years? I mean, the world is changing so quickly that 5 years can be totally different from now. And it will be still the same, but
Yeah.
what do you hope you want to see?
Yeah, just one thing. Companies, sustainable companies, and happy working environments for people. Those two things are my biggest driver. And positioning enterprise architecture, they are really creating this clarity for people to have, and they help C-level create sustainable companies. Because their strategy, it's a good strategy, and it trickles down to the organization. And people are happy because the organization is well designed. They are in a flow. They are not overloaded in their work, and they can go to work knowing that there's the right opportunities for them, that they that would be, I think, a good thing. And there's a lot of enterprise architecture things in the toolbox that are really able to provide that.
Yeah, more purpose-driven design, bit of decoupling. Yeah, and that should. I share that dream. It's more happiness for everybody. I've been on the other side from the burnout part, and I know that if people can stay away from that side, that's, I think, a good thing. Just enjoy life and go on. I think that's a nice goal. And for your podcast, what do you have a goal for next year? I mean, 5 years is too far away. Just small steps.
Especially because it's happening on serendipity.
Yeah.
I changed to English this for the third season. First 2 seasons are in Dutch. I really like to have it more. I really like to have the conversation that I'm having already in the podcast to be more accessible to more people. I really like to extend the conversation, not only from Belgium and the Netherlands in Dutch. I really like to extend the conversation. What you mentioned, learning also about how is it perceived differently, and also how can enterprise architecture lead in an AI future, which is the important aspects of what I believe is enterprise architecture is not only communication and the craftsmanship, but also knowing to execute strategy, having a sense of political context or the culture. And then the other thing is that you need to be able to have a vision about the future and what it will do to your organization and inject that into all the previous ones.
Yeah.
And for me, in the next season, I am thinking about having a conversation on AI. I really was reluctant. Last year, everybody was saying, you need to talk about AI in the podcast. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. It's such a hype. And it's too predictable.
Yeah.
And it's not mature at this point. That's something that I was saying last year. And now I'm feeling, we're moving towards something. I have some beliefs about AI. I need to investigate it more.
Yeah, the adoption rate is enormous. So I've experienced a lot of hypes, and the blockchain and smart devices and machine learning, but the impactful adoption that's now taking place is more than before. So the people being fired because of the promise of AI and it's only being rehired. It does something on the social contract base, but also on the communication base. It's when we started with Agile in 2008, we didn't know how to manage Agile at scale, and we still don't know how to do that with all the autonomous teams. And now with AI, you're getting more autonomous small bubbles of reality. From all the enterprise architecture books I have, we don't have an answer on this. So it might also be that we need to ask people that have different expertise on this. Because it's a different, in Dutch it is a different cookie. I don't know if it's an English phrase, but it's a different cookie.
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's it's going to be an interesting journey to invite people that know different pieces of this puzzle, because it will affect everybody. It's already affecting people at their home, talking to their spouses and talking to their family and friends, and then having different AI bubbles. That is really impactful. I'm looking forward to it.
I saw the same change already. Yeah? I used to study supply chain management.
Yeah.
They were heavily automated by robotics to the point where you have Chinese production plants, or there are examples in China, but across the world, of course, where they have a production line running and they save on the energy costs because they turn off the lights. There are no human workers.
So no lights needed.
Lights, so they don't need to pay electricity. But if you go that heavily into automating your production lines, the same thing could happen to IT production lines. So that's the same thing with scaled agile. It's more implemented, but then how to make sure that we don't build the wrong things faster. Because if IT is not a bottleneck, I think it hasn't been for a long time now, but if IT is not a bottleneck on the speed of development, how to, in a way, contain development, the risk part of architecture.
Yeah, and is it the same as automation or not?
Yeah.
It's a conversation in my bubble we're having. So programming and low-code programming is a different beast than the generative AI that we're now introducing. But we're not having so we need different governance and different quality assurance, but we don't know yet what and how. So that's also a bit scary for the experienced people, because it's a new turf.
But this is the actual part where enterprise architecture can leap on this topic to really have a better foothold to create more maturity in the expertise. I see this as the biggest opportunity for enterprise architecture at this point, to really make a stand and to lead the change.
Yeah, that's true.
And we might not win the race.
Racing itself is, and having happy people, I think that's the winning itself. Thanks for being on the other side of a microphone. It was great to hear you summarize what you have been experiencing the last years and where you think the field is going. And I think everybody is interested in the new conversations you're going to have this season and next season. Thanks again for this. And we will listen to you soon in the next recordings.
Thank you, Edzo, and thank you very much for being a part of it.
This was a final part on Elise's self-reflection and how she makes organizational transformation happen through workshops. Many thanks to Edzo Botjes for moderating this interesting conversation.
Many thanks to Pieter-Jan Rombout for producing and editing, and to Leonard Busset for the intro music. And of course, thank you for listening, and see you next time.